Even though hip-hop fame often fades quickly, certain rappers manage to remain in the spotlight across changing trends and eras by evolving their sound while preserving their unique identity. Artists who appear closely tied to a specific movement can outlast peers who have fallen out of favor or passed away, emerging as some of the rare, enduring figures of that era. Because of a mix of personal and professional struggles, Trippie appears to be on the verge of missteps that could jeopardize his status as one of SoundCloud's enduring success stories, potentially impacting the emo rap movement itself. We'll also examine Trippie Redd's self-destructive moments, which, at the time, left fans and the industry stunned. Romantic conflicts emerged after missed opportunities for superstardom, shifting the course of his career dramatically. Whether it's being criticized for his personal issues or praised for continuing to release remarkable music, it often seems like Trippie can't get it right, even when the evidence proves otherwise. Even his most devoted fans are starting to question him, wondering why they remain invested. Is it nostalgia, or a desire to relive the times when his music united us all? Once, it was natural to dig through his catalog. Now that curiosity has faded. The resentment and indifference Trippie faces today stem from a series of misjudgments that the young, idealistic, passionate artist who first entered the scene likely never imagined he would make. Michael White, who launched his hip-hop career at 15, recalled in an interview with Vice sharing songs like his breakthrough track Angry Vibes, which caused a stir in his neighborhood. He said this was one of the first songs that truly resonated with him. His remarkable talent for making people break their floors at parties and began earning him recognition even in places like shopping malls. While that early exposure was undoubtedly thrilling, fame was never his primary motivator. Instead, he performed as a tribute to a lost loved one who had dreamed of becoming a rap artist, carrying their memory forward through his music. Trippie gained attention after relocating to Los Angeles and signing with what was then Strange Entertainment, the original label of Elliot Grange, son of a Universal mogul and current rival of Drake Lucian Grange, following a brief stint experimenting with alternative rock, which he later removed from the internet. His debut mixtape, A Love Letter to You, particularly the platinum-selling track Love Scars, showcased his wide-ranging musical influences and distinctive deep voice as his popularity grew. Trippie quickly emerged as a bold, new voice for his generation during a time when emotionally charged hip-hop was in high demand. He shot to near-instant fame with later hits like Life's a Trip and A Love Letter to You Too, which sold over 80,000 copies and climbed to number 4 on the charts. Today, he remains signed to Elliot Graw's label, 10K Projects. Yet even as Trippie's star rose, a conflict with a label mate foreshadowed the online drama that would eventually threaten his career. Their friendship peaked with the 2017 release of Pole's 1469, a track that hinted at Trippie Redd and Tekashi 6ix9ine becoming a powerhouse hit-making duo. Initially, Trippie was set to receive the Pierre Bourne beat that helped 6ix9ine gain fame with Gumo. However, once troubling allegations involving 6ix9ine and underage individuals surfaced, Trippie publicly distanced himself, openly denouncing the rapper. The ongoing betrayals between the two sparked Trippie Redd's first major scandal and arguably marked a turning point in his career. Tekashi captured this perfectly when he launched a public hate campaign against Trippie on Instagram. According to multiple interviews, the two had once been close, bonded by friendship and a shared drive for success. "You're damaging your career with all these lies," Tekashi claimed. He accused Trippie of calling their late friend XXXTentacion to gain attention from Drake, even though the story wasn't true. In retaliation, Trippie was reportedly removed from the track, highlighting how quickly trust and collaboration could unravel in the high-stakes world of rap. However, as Tekashi pointed out, tension arose when Redd chose to collaborate with Drake, who had been accused of borrowing his ex's flow on KMT while still in jail, creating a rift between the two artists. The dispute not only cost him valuable time with Drake, but also kept him from being part of the massive success of God's Plan. Reports suggested that they reconciled before X's tragic death in March. Ultimately, Trippie missed the chance for the immediate career boost that collaborating with Drizzy could have provided at that critical moment. Further investigation reveals two key factors behind this missed opportunity. At a New Year's Eve party, Trippie's DJ reportedly played portions of the song without the OVO team's approval. Drake and his crew had to step in to prevent the track from leaking as partygoers began recording. For fans following Trippie's rise, it was even more frustrating that he failed to record his verse in time, causing him to lose the moment that could have propelled his career forward. He tried to downplay it, but in truth, he missed out on one of the biggest songs ever. it has amassed over 2 billion streams. Much like Laugh Now Cry Later did for Dirk, this track was Drake's first to go diamond and could have served as a career-defining boost, potentially elevating Trippie to kingmaker status. Of course, there's no guarantee the song would have reached that level of success with Trippie on it. Some argue that his presence might have disrupted the track's flow and even limited his own rise. Drake attempted to entice Trippie back for a feature, keeping his composure while clearly hoping to secure him. Though it never came, together, the subsequent Exclamation Point album still offered significant potential, forming part of a series of releases that sold well despite receiving only modest reviews from critics. Trippie's first significant career setback came in late 2018, when it became clear that his momentum was slowing compared to earlier successes. The lingering presence of 6ix9ine in his orbit suggested that he hadn't delivered a major hit in years. However, it seemed his rival had miscalculated, as Trippie began generating hits just as he released Panga, his last major single at the time. While 2019's A Love Letter to You became his first #1 album, achieving career-high first-week sales of 104,000 units, it was Trip at Night in 2021, with its chaotic, early SoundCloud rap energy, that truly solidified his reputation as a powerful force in the genre. Selling 81,000 units in its first week and backed by a strong 10K Projects re-up, Trip at Night stood out as one of the era's finest. Tracks like Mr. Rage breathed new life into his career. Having recently signed a $30 million deal with Elliot Grange, now seemed like the perfect moment for him to release a series of 5 albums titled Love Letter to You. Soon after, he revealed that he was earning between $200,000 and $400,000 per performance, with the vast majority going directly into his accounts. Just months before finalizing the contract, Trippie had already proven why his skill and perseverance had earned him the respect of his peers. Lil Uzi has frequently praised Trippie's work ethic, noting that despite clear evidence of his talent and metrics and streams, he often doesn't receive the recognition he deserves. One thing is certain about Trippie Redd: he merits far more credit than he gets. Wealth is another defining aspect of his persona. As some fans put it, it's hard to fully respect someone who isn't successful financially. Trippie inspires strong opinions. There's rarely a middle ground. You either love his music or you don't. And his tracks consistently impress. Even high-profile figures have voiced admiration. Author Tyler remarked, "You're such a freak, and I mean that in the best way possible. I love it, dude. You're beautiful. It's sick." With this kind of momentum, it seemed Trippie was poised to reach the same recognition as peers like the late Juice WRLD and Lil Uzi Vert. But soon after, complications with 10K Projects, which made some question whether he was being overhyped, began to unravel his progress. His final platinum hit, or perhaps his last double platinum single, was Mr. Rage. Trippie's career has often felt like a series of setbacks, beginning with the dark and overextended Pegasus in 2020, and continuing through his 2023 releases, which have only added to the pressure on both him and his fans. When Project Mansion Music dropped amid controversy over it being hacked, it initially debuted at #3 on the Billboard charts, with 59,000 first-week sales, only to plummet to 21st the following week. A sharp decline, though not entirely unexpected by listeners. Much like the Drake feature he missed, the final product felt incomplete. An uneven single with half-mixed sounds that never fully came together. This set the stage for later tracks like Crazy Train, which was intended to be a breakout hit but instead became one of Leaf Flame's lowest performing singles since 2019's Power is Power from the Game of Thrones soundtrack. Trippie and his label likely didn't worry too much about the upcoming Love Letter to You 5, given the series' history of consistent quality. However, reality told a different story. It debuted at #13, selling just 30,000 copies in its first week, marking it as the weakest installment in the Love Letter series, not even surpassing Part 2, which had been widely celebrated as his early breakthrough. Adding to the blow, a video of Trippie mocking rappers for selling 30,000 units aged poorly, making some of his more boastful claims about his standing in hip-hop appear naive and out of touch. Above all, it was a disastrous moment for Trippie. Considering he had initially suggested collaborating, his claim that the track was a 6ix9ine song, especially after dissing his late friend, doesn't hold much weight. To fully understand the decline in his output and acclaim, it's necessary to consider other factors. Chief among them is the impact of long-term drug use on his life. The loss of friends and former collaborators to drug-related deaths during the emo rap era gave him plenty of reasons to rethink his choices. In fact, he even vowed to stay away from substances following Juice WRLD's tragic passing. Once he recognized the dangers of lean, he even urged his fans to put the cup down and avoid the substance. Yet it seems Trippie remains dependent on these substances even years later, prompting one fan to remark, "Bro, this is getting ridiculous." On another Instagram account, he admitted to drinking away the pain whenever his lean habit took over, more often than it should. This is made even more troubling considering his history with drugs. A few years ago, he called lean liquid heroin and cautioned everyone against using it, so it was shocking to his dedicated subreddit that he continued the behavior. Trippie's earlier claim that marijuana was his only substance use only added to the confusion and concern. While this doesn't fully explain the tragic aspects of the emo rap scene, with figures like MGK, it does shed light on how his choices have affected his reputation. If Trippie is indeed struggling with substance abuse, it could account for much of his erratic behavior in recent years, including some of the questionable decisions he's made along the way. One fan noted, while thankfully short at just around 27 minutes, genre sad boy is a challenge to get through without wincing. Crossover punk rap artist received some of the harshest critiques of the decade, highlighting how his personal struggles have begun to intersect with public perception of his music. Despite lyrics filled with exaggerated tales of broken relationships, both rappers still managed to put on flashy, over-the-top performances. Trippie, in particular, has shown a troubling tendency toward addictive behaviors, crying in limousines and chasing fleeting happiness. He even admitted, "I just found out this morning that I received a beat placement, and I know it will be the worst song I've ever heard. I'm trying to change the tide." The track was widely criticized, with one producer featured on it even mocking the release. Trippie later claimed he removed the song from the album in response to MGK's accusation that he played it just to gain likes. This misstep was just another failure in a project riddled with underperforming tracks, which together barely sold 17,000 units. By that point, the producer had already been paid by the label. Like many young, wealthy, and high-profile artists, Trippie's turbulent relationships have contributed to a public perception that his best days may be behind him. Struggles with women have been a recurring theme throughout his career. For instance, Bad Baby highlighted Tekashi as hypocritical after he condemned her for revealing that he had secretly accessed her direct messages while she was still a minor. Fans have since watched, and sometimes mocked, the cyclical nature of his personal dramas. Even in moments of supposed triumph, Trippie's vulnerability shines through, as seen in lyrics like, "2020, when I'm so broke and depressed, I need a girlfriend," reflecting the highs and lows of a young artist navigating fame, fortune, and the complicated world of relationships. "Man, I thought Trippie was a real one, but he turned out to be just another goof," the sentiment repeats. Though by now, listeners have probably grown weary of hearing it. Trippie's love life has been just as turbulent as his career. In 2021, he met someone he considered the love of his life. By 2023, he was apologizing for cheating, only to later admit that he would cheat again because he just doesn't care. Despite the drama sounding extreme, one part of his life shows he hasn't quite learned his lessons. A few years back, he reportedly met Sky Morales simply to flirt. To spare fans the details of a now-deleted Instagram post, the gist is that he cheated on her and expressed regret afterward. Given how shaken he's seen by that situation, one would think he wouldn't repeat the behavior, but he later caused even greater turmoil with a former partner and fellow rapper. Koi, referencing their relationship and lyrics in a love letter to U4, delivered a sting to Trippie. Their breakup had been painful, with lines like, "I miss who I thought you were, and sometimes I'm miserable without you," suggesting they were soulmates at the wrong time. She also remarked, "You were only with my feelings because you didn't know your own," after months of emotional turbulence, reflecting the complexity and chaos of their connection. In 2024, after several years apart, Trippie made the decision to reconcile and get back together. By that time, Koi had become a well-known star, and the couple suddenly announced they were expecting a child, saying they were ready for 2025. Even her father, Benzino, who had been estranged from her, admitted he was happy but also a bit anxious. However, just 2 weeks after the announcement, everything unraveled when it became clear that Trippie was resorting to his old habits. Being cheated on is one of the harshest betrayals imaginable, and few would wish it on anyone. Once Koi caught him in the act, the truth quickly came to light. Contrary to gossip pages claiming she had to spy to uncover it, they weren't actually in a committed relationship, according to what I was told. Even as his expectant partner accused him of essentially destroying their life together, Trippie didn't retreat like he had in the past. "I'll do it again for everything I've ever done wrong," he declared, seemingly reveling in his freedom as if he had been wronged. Trippie had never before been viewed as public enemy number one, but his apparent lack of remorse has permanently shifted how people outside his core fan base perceive him. It's a harsh reality. Once you've acted recklessly, money can't undo the damage, and in this case, a child is involved. Releasing a new song with another ex, Alex, only reinforced the image of him as a deadbeat in the eyes of the public. Then, as if unburdened by any prior commitments, he was spotted arriving with a new woman. Even if Trippie can personally handle the fact that many of his core fans are turning against him, he can't ignore the impact it has on them. And in most cases, that's exactly what's happening. This is a serious problem. A rapper who has shifted from mainstream fame to a more niche following can't afford missteps like this, especially when his biggest hits are already behind him. Still, Trippie insists that his best moments are yet to come, and it's clear he's eager to reclaim his place and face every challenge the rap game throws at him. In addition to collaborating with some of the most groundbreaking hip-hop artists in history, Trippie sparked controversy when he denied Ye's claim that he pioneered rage music during the Yeezus era. This quickly led fans to side with West, a rare moment of widespread support for him. He claimed this would be his own Life of Pablo moment, a chance to reinvent himself musically in a way not seen since Ye's peak, and compared himself to artists like Chris Brown and Drake, who solidified their standing in the genre. Yet his statements seemed over the top, especially considering the generation of rappers he references mostly emerged around 2016. He appears unaware of Kanye's lasting influence on this era, relying instead on a villain narrative and bold online proclamations rather than a clear rollout strategy. Some even accuse him of stirring drama with Future over an ex-girlfriend just to boost his profile ahead of a project. At the moment, Trippie seems to be making his rollout far more chaotic than necessary, rather than allowing his music to speak for itself. A misstep made even more noticeable considering how the public has been perceiving him lately and the mixed performance of his recent tracks. Instead of letting his talent do the talking, he's creating distractions with drama and attention-grabbing antics that only highlight the instability in his career. What should be a showcase of skill and creativity has become overshadowed by personal controversies, erratic behavior, and public disputes, leaving fans and critics alike questioning whether he can regain control. Ironically, the only platform where Trippie continues to find consistent success is SoundCloud, where he remains near the top of the charts. This seems fitting, as it reflects both the loyal audience that helped launch his career and the stark contrast to his declining mainstream presence. SoundCloud has always been his foundation, the place where his raw energy, chaotic style, and early hits like Love Scars and Life's a Trip first resonated. Yet even here, the sheen of his dominance is tinged with the reality that his overall career trajectory has hit a low point. Both Trippie and his fans often look back wistfully at the days when he was consistently releasing major singles, dominating charts, and commanding attention without the need for personal drama. But repeated missteps, from failed album releases to high-profile conflicts with other artists, have eroded that momentum. His focus seems scattered, and the general public has grown increasingly disinterested, leaving him reliant on the pockets of dedicated listeners who remember his peak. Whatever comes next, Trippie faces a steep climb. Reclaiming his former status, once marked by dominance, influence, and a clear creative vision, will require not only musical innovation, but also discipline and a careful approach to his public persona. Until then, he remains a cautionary example of how talent alone can't sustain a career when personal choices and chaotic rollouts take center stage.